All right, so we're going to move on to a little bit of historical context. Now, the other historical person I had you read about, other than Polybius, so Polybius is our author, I also had you read a bit about Pyrrhus of Epirus, because this is the second event that turns Rome into a bit of a rabid land-grabbing monster. So as I mentioned, in 387, this moment where the Gauls come to Rome's doorstep and have to be driven off, send Rome into overdrive about making sure that they secure their borders. This results in Rome gobbling up large bits of Italian landmass until they have kind of like the leg warmer of Italy. They don't quite have the foot of the boot, and they're not all the way up to the knee, but they've definitely got that leg warmer area locked down, including Etruria. So at this point, a Hellenistic monarch named Pyrrhus of Epirus. So Epirus is on the western Dalmatian coast, so this area of northern Greece on the side closest to Italy. He's related to all these other Hellenistic kings in the area, including the Ptolemies, who were his in-laws, I believe. And he really, really wanted to get his own giant Hellenistic kingdom. Epirus was a bit small for him. And he decided that Rome would make some great real estate. He even had an excuse. Remember all of these Greek-speaking colony states in southern Italy? Well, when Rome began to expand aggressively in the wake of Brennus's Gallic invasion, they pissed off quite a lot of Greek-speaking cities that they took over and made to pay tribute and do what Rome said, essentially. So Pyrrhus takes this as an excuse where he's going to go to Italy, he's going to liberate the Greek-speaking city-states, and he's going to take it for himself. And he didn't have a bad plan, really. He had every reason to expect that the Greek-speaking city-states would greet him as a liberator, collaborate with him, uprise against Rome, and that together they would found a fantastic new Hellenistic kingdom in Italy. And Pyrrhus had a lot going for him. Remember his Ptolemaic in-laws? Yeah, they had elephant supplies. So they give Pyrrhus a bunch of elephants. He's got a badass army with all these new Hellenistic military innovations. So he lands in Italy and he begins to march around the states of southern Italy, trying to get them to join with him against Rome and beating the Roman army in the field. And at first, it goes really well for him. So notice this fancy coolest helmet. It's just lovely. This beautiful oak crown. It's a nice look. Too bad this didn't work out for him. Sorry, spoilers. As promised, here is the invasion route. So there's Pyrrhus's home kingdom in Epirus right here. Greece is this away. He sails right across the Ionian into Tarentum, which is a Greek-speaking port city, as is Heraclea. Not a port city, but it is Greek-speaking. On to Beneventum, and he makes an attempt on Rome. He is turned back. At this point, Rome begins to enjoy some victories. You'll also notice that this is taking a bit longer than perhaps Pyrrhus thought it should. So he lands in 280 BCE. By 275 BCE, he's still kind of meandering around Italy, and eventually, or sorry, no, it's the mid 270s. So at one point, he kind of nopes out of Italy, and then he goes to try to conquer Sicily. It's this whole thing. I'm not going to get into the plot of this too much. So what changed for Pyrrhus, and how did Rome deal with a Hellenistic army showing up on their doorstep? Here's the short version. Now, I mentioned Pyrrhus had elephants, and elephants was the surprising, gut-clenching thing for Romans, and indeed for a lot of Northern Europeans, because if elephants have a hard time living in the Mediterranean, it doesn't get much better when you take them into Northern Europe. It's just way too cold, it's uncomfortable, they don't like it. Not very adaptable to cold climates are elephants. Just think what Rome could have done with woolly mammoths. That sounds awesome, actually.
Epic.
Somebody please write that fan fiction. All right. So this is a Hellenistic war elephant, and this is an Indian elephant. We know because of the shape of the elephant's skull, the size of the ears, and it's big enough that there's a mobile turret on the elephant's back. Now, interesting thing about this figurine, it's an Eastern Mediterranean figurine, but look at the shields of the people the elephant is currently trampling. We think that's Gauls, but it might also be Romans, and we can't tell because they use the same shields. So if you ever want to feel superior about yourself, watch any movie where they've got soldiers before 1 BCE or so, like say Caesar's army, and they're all walking around with square shields. Nope. Nope. So the elephants show up in Italy, and according to the historians' records, the Romans were at first like freaked out. They were like, what the heck are these things? What's on their face? What's that thing hanging off of their face? Oh my God, they're huge and they're stomping on us. Ah! So it was like super intimidating. The Romans freaked out a little bit. Pyrrhus's early victories were partly due to elephant shock. But Romans quickly figured out that if you scared elephants, they had a tendency to kind of panic and stampede. So they started tactically trying to panic the elephants and began to make some inroads. Meanwhile, Pyrrhus begins to run out of elephants. Elephants are not a renewable resource, and as you're worn down to fewer and fewer elephants, they're less and less useful. But still, the elephants made an impression on the Romans. They were freaked out by them, they were in awe of them, and they thought they were really cool. One of the things I find very lovable about ancient Romans is that they're elephant obsessed. They love the things. Pliny the Elder is a huge fanboy, and I enjoy that very much about him. He thinks elephants are just perfect, and that's pure and adorable. Speaking of pure and adorable, look at this baby elephant playing with a ball. Isn't he cute? Look at his little face. Oh my God, it's so cute. I know,
That
right?
is ridiculously cute.
Isn't it? Look at his face.
Goonie.
Oh my God, it's a baby elephant. I love that. Hi. Oh, he's so cute. Okay, right. So back to the warfare. It's your palate cleanser. Yeah, so we've looked at this bit of art before. This is that plate I talked about in the Alexander lecture. So this is the Epirus plate. This seems to have been a commemorative plate made in honor of Pyrrhus and his elephant corps, where you have the war elephant, one of the matriarchs of the herd, out in front with her turret and her little baby elephant. Why would you take something so cute and pure into a battle, you horrible person? Ah, Pyrrhus, you suck. At any rate, this is one of my favorite Pyrrhus sound bites, and the one that gives us a nice phrase you'll sometimes hear tossed about in English. He managed to win this one battle by a very narrow margin. And at the end of it, he kind of looks over his troop losses, and he's missing a lot of elephants, and he's like, damn, if we're victorious in one more battle with the Romans, we shall be utterly ruined. Which was basically like, God, if this is what it takes to win a battle against the Romans, I am going to run out of army pretty soon. This gives us this phrase, Pyrrhic victory. So a Pyrrhic victory is where you win, but the cost of that win is so ruinous that you can no longer continue the war. And this is an important lesson to keep in mind, and why I bring it up. Not all victories are worth going for. Cutting your losses is sometimes the smart and humane thing to do. You gotta know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. And don't bring a baby elephant. So here's how this ends up. Pyrrhus nopes out of Rome and goes to try to conquer Sicily instead, which works just about as well for him, as he's going through one of the towns he's in the process of invading, a woman, we're not sure if it was deliberate or not, but a tile fell off the roof and onto his head, gave him a concussion, and then he died shortly afterwards. And that's the end of Pyrrhus, brained by a tile on the head. Which just goes to show you, we're mortal. Stuff happens. You can be on the top of the world and full of elephants one day, and the next day you've got a rock on your head. So just YOLO. But for Rome, this was a good moment. At the end of the Pyrrhic War, not only had Rome kept its territory, but it expanded into bits of the Greek-speaking parts of southern Italy that it hadn't had before. So Rome now has most of the boot. They're like almost up to knee sock level here. They take over Brundisium, Tarentum, and all of the boot, although this makes it look like Rome had firm control on this territory, and it wasn't that firm. As you went into the mountains, Roman control became lighter and lighter, but in the coastal Mediterranean parts of Italy, Rome was the big kid on the block. Now you'll notice Rome is stopping short of the Alps, which are up this way, and you'll notice it says Gauls here in little letters around the Po River. That's because a bunch of Gauls lived there. Rome called it Cisalpine Gaul, which means Gaul on our side of the Alps, the Cis Gauls, as opposed to the Transalpine Gauls, who lived across the Alps, or trans, which is cis-trans. Another use of that opposite particle. So all in all, this seems to have worked out well for Rome, but to Roman minds, this was another wake-up call of the same order as Brennus. Rome realized that it wasn't enough to just gain total control of Italy. Now they had to worry about people coming from overseas and trying to invade them. Because once you become big, you become a target. And Rome now had all of this territory to hold on to. And their army was a little strained at doing it because they were still working on a very citizen soldier model. In fact, they deliberately avoided at this period using anything that smacked of mercenaries. And this continues to be a thing for Romans. Eventually they have allied, what they called auxiliary troops, which were non-Roman allied forces that would act in conjunction with the Roman army, sometimes in hope of citizenship. But they didn't think of it as a mercenary corps. They thought of it as a political tribute, a little bit more like Persia that way. So Epirus taught Rome that it wasn't just enough for them to worry about Italian politics. Now they had to worry about politics abroad. And they had to create a situation in which they stopped the fight before it landed on Italian soil. Rome was now super worried about people marching into Italy and putting them on the back foot. And it's at this point that Rome becomes very aggressive. At first bit by bit, but as Rome begins to set its sights off of Italy and onto Sicily, they're going to butt up against the other big kid on the block. This one right there. That's Carthage, which is also looking at Sicily. Dun, dun, dun! So that's all I've got for you this week. Take care, be well, be excellent to each other, and I'll see you on next unit's episode of Warfare in the Ancient World. Ciao!